Now that is a happy surprise. So notice how last time I was in orange Oompa Loompa, and now we're nice and white. This video today is sponsored by Lord of the Rings. These cups used to light up, but they don't anymore. Okay, we're on law number 11. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the lectures. I was listening to an audio this morning and then the day before, and I'm at this stage in my life where it says, if this video found you, you're getting all these blessings. And I was like, ooh. And so the one today, she was pulling out these cards, and I don't know, we got the chakras aligning, and we're just, it's just all happening right now. So okay, law number 11, 48 laws of power. We just finished book number 21, which was Rich Dad Poor Dad. How many of you did the audit? How many of you did the actual homework assignment? How many of you did your financial statement? Are you following along in class, or are you just listening and doing nothing? If you don't apply the actionables, how do you grow or benefit from it in any foreseeable way, conceivable way? We're learning our English vocabulary even in this lecture today. So we're going to continue even if you didn't do the homework. I actually really love this journal. It's very soft. It says journal. What I'm going to do is, the plan is to put all of Robert Greene's books in here, and that way you can condense, imagine 6 books, 5, Laws of Power, Human Nature, Mastery, Art of Seduction, and I think there's a 5th one, Strategies of War, that are all this size. So imagine 6 of those that you can condense into one journal, and then you can just reread this, or give this as a gift to your future son or your future daughter. Isn't that crazy? That this is going to be a beautiful flower amidst my garden, i.e. my library. Okay, law number 11. Here we go. Learn to keep people dependent on you. So we'll start with a quote. Never teach them enough so they can do without you. This is a story from the book, as right-hand man to the emperor, and as imperial chancellor and knighted prince, he pulled all the levers. And the people who I thought of was, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Vice. I think it's called Vice. It's about the vice president, Dick Cheney, who was essentially the puppeteer and the one with all of the power, all of the control amidst George Bush's presidency. He was the first person that came to mind. And then in See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar, the idea of you can have anything that you want so long as you're willing to not take the credit, right? And then the next quote is, if you create no need for yourself, then you will be done away with at first opportunity, right? The first thing that came to mind with that idea of learn to keep people dependent on you, never teach them enough so that they can do it without you, is the garbage of when I worked as a personal trainer. So that was the exact treacherous weasel rat mentality, where you make yourself seem more smarter, more useful, more needed or necessary than you actually are, for the sake of retention, for the sake of a sale, for the sake of keeping the client dependent on you. As in, when we would, in our sales training for how to, keep the client, we were actually instructed to use language that they didn't understand, in terms of how it responds to the muscle tissue this way, and this is how it affects, your physiology. I'm not going to get into the whole, all of the bullshit, whether it was regarding muscularity, whether it was regarding your muscle tissue, just all the foozy woozy who's God, so that the grandma who didn't know any of the words that we were saying was like, oh, yeah, I think I need you guys, here, take my credit card, and it was bullshit. Versus what I did when I exited that rat life job of being a personal trainer, working for the $5 commission when I was selling $85 packages. And I said, wait a second, because in this university we think for ourselves, right? I was just like, hold on, I'm doing all of the work, and yet I'm getting a fraction of a fraction of a fraction because not only do I get the breadcrumbs, but my breadcrumbs are taxed. This doesn't make much sense. Let me get the clients myself through my social media channels, although they might be small, so that even if I only get one client, I retain 100% of the commission, 100% of the sales, and then that way it's as if I'm working the rat life job, right? And having a stack schedule, I would make the same amount of money per hour as if I just had one client who was mine. Interesting. So I didn't do that. As in, my clients, I would give them everything that they needed, and then I would give them everything more that they didn't ask for. As in, I was reading at the time when I was training my clients, so I would be like, dude, I just found this new insight, or this new idea, or this new reflection, or if they were going through a relationship problem, I was just maximum value. But when it comes to the actual personal training portion, I would give them everything that they needed to know, and then I would consistently tell them, you don't need me. You don't need me, you don't need me. And I would consistently help them set goals to where it's like, by this date, the goal is for you to be independent, where you can go to the gym by yourself, where you don't need this accountability, where you don't need these things. That's an actual great trainer, a great coach, is someone who teaches you, or somebody who coaches you through what you're actually paying them for, right? The service, right? Like when you're going to a barber, for example, and they cut your hair, but also giving you the tools to where you can fish. I know I did two different professions, but you understand the idea. As if the barber, is teaching you how to give yourself that fade that you're looking for. For me as a personal trainer, and it comes from Marcus Aurelius's book, Meditations, where my favorite line, no one's slave, no one's master. Because I'm so aware of the rat life, and because I'm so aware of how there's nothing I know that can't be learned by others, when I know something, especially when it's something that I learned for free, but it just took me time, while it should be compensated for because they're paying for the expedited years in the form of instantly accessed information that you have. I've always chosen the route to give the people all of the tools that they need to be able to lead their own life, to be able to be self-sufficient, to be able to escape their rat life without me, without paying anyone, without being somebody's servant, right? Without being indebted to anyone, I'm not going to try to go sexist here, but I would never have my woman be trained, like personally trained by another man. That would never happen. So whenever I see guys who they don't have any knowledge of physicality or how to put themselves into shape, and they forfeit that knowledge to another man, they're choosing to have their woman submit to another man. And it's just like, that is the price that you're paying for ignorance, right? It's a base example, and it ties in with more traditional masculine, underlying traits that I align with. But the whole idea is, the more you know, the more you're capable, the more competent you become, the better everybody else is on your team, including your woman, including your kids, including your friends. Like, if you know the A to Z in terms of a physical transformation, you're a net positive to everyone in terms of their health, right? If you know more about financial literacy, then you can help all of your team escape the enslavement that is debt, right? It's that quote, life, it's not about what we get, but it's about who we become, right? From the literature, from this university, from this noble quest. Do you see my library? That's right here at your disposal, and what we're able to give only now that we've become more. But don't be a snake, weasel, rat and only give people, the breadcrumbs of your value, thinking, oh no, I need them reliant on me. Those same people who I would be coaching, they insisted on the retention. They sold themselves on renewal. I didn't have to do any selling because I was insisting on, you don't need me, and over delivering the value, right? Can you imagine the loyalty of your customer, of your client, of the person paying for your product or service, when you've made it explicitly clear you don't have an ulterior motive? In fact, you've made it explicit by your joy to lose them as a paying client I don't want to lose my train of thought. That how does that not solidify the trust that they have within you? You know, it's like, here's all the gold, and I want to give you so much gold that you don't need to pay me anymore, so that you have all of the gold and all of your money. And so it's that quote, as you sow, so shall you reap. If you just focus on the giving, how much you can give someone, you will never want. You will want for naught, you know? So shift the focus. We're not doing this university. We're not making these lectures for what knowledge can we retain and keep to ourselves. Fuck that. What can we give, right? Any insight, any lesson, any story, any failure. Let's give so we can save this person watching timeless lessons in failure that they could avoid, and they could save themselves years of failure, defeat, despair, right? We can help them bridge the learning curve, right? We can help them expedite years of progression, fast track them to get the results that they want by what? Giving. By giving lavishly, as they say in How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Okay, does that make sense? Don't hoard your gold. Don't hoard your knowledge. Give. I understand this is a law of power. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Don't do it. In the sense of this, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. What I'm saying is, I'm sharing my ideologies, my values, my beliefs, because it just aligns with an identity of abundance, right? Lack is someone who says, you know, if I give you everything that I know, then I'm useless. Then you won't need me. But it's just like, if you give them all of this golden value, especially if you charge them for, 10% of the value that you're providing for them, then the rhetoric changes to, wow, if I'm getting this much return for this much pay, and then you have a new product or service that you launch with someone who trusts you beyond belief, their mindset is, if I pay him this much, I'm going to get this much value for my money, right? There's no lose here, right? There's no lose. If you lose them as a client, wow, what a testimonial they are, right? What a great referral source they can become, right? What a great networking person, because forever onward, no, that guy, that professor, Tarek Hawks, no, he went above and beyond. He surpassed customer satisfaction. He gave me every single thing that I could have ever asked for and so much more, volunteered his time, was available 24/7, followed up, held me accountable, didn't give me the fish, taught me how to fish, right? Was there even when I didn't have the money for it. He would let me pay super far later. Like, be that guy, right? Be the person who just focuses on what he can give, not what he can get. And then you'll find you'll never be in lack. You'll never be in want if you just focus on what you can give. Does any of this make sense? Does any of this resonate? Do you need me to sip from my Lord of the Rings cup? Did Frodo give in his quest? He was willing to give his life. Okay, moving on. Yeah, if you create no need for yourself, then you will be done away with at first opportunity. That's bullshit. That is complete bullshit, because I'll tell you why. Let's take personal training, for example. You need to understand what your clients are paying you for. As in, I learned this from Tony Robbins. He said this. He said, first I give them what they want, and then I give them what they need. And I learned this from personal training people, especially older clients. A lot of them it has nothing to do with their health. It has nothing to do with muscularity or strength or fat loss. They wanted a friend. Another person, they wanted, and this isn't to boost my, stroke my ego or anything, but there are women who will hire, attractive personal trainers, because that makes them feel younger, or that makes them feel, I don't know, foxy. What do you want to say? But that's a fact. Like, it's a complete reality, to where they feel young and they feel vibrant and they feel all of this by having someone who's that, deliciousness. How do you want me to word it? What do you want me to say? It's true. Some people, and I've had these female clients, they just want a therapy session. They don't give a fuck about the workout. They're not there to grow their bicep. They're not there to add 10 pounds on their deadlift. They don't give a shit about any of that. They're happy to maintain their health. They want to be healthy. They want to be, healthy, happy. But they're there oftentimes for emotional support, for emotional venting, for a therapist, essentially, for somebody who they can vent to, who can validate them, who can, give them relational advice. Like, I served all of those purposes while I was working as a personal trainer. And then you just end it with, but I don't know though, in case it ruins their life. Like, liability wise, you're covered. But that proves the falsehood of this statement. If you create no need for yourself, then you'll be done away with that first opportunity. And perhaps that statement has validity in the sense of you still create use for yourself by giving them the Tony Robbins quote, what they want or what they're paying you for, sure, but what they actually need. I want you guys to understand the difference, especially if you have clients, because a lot of people, they'll get frustrated and they'll get furious about not, achieving the sale and not closing the sale, thinking that they did something wrong or that there's something wrong with you or your product or your service or your price point. It's very seldom the case, but you didn't get at the root of the customer's needs, of their actual problem. Oftentimes it has nothing to do with your product. Your product's probably fine, especially if other people have given you, positive testimonials about it. Nothing to do with your service, nothing to do with your price point. People pay more for whatever you're selling or service that you're offering. You didn't answer their need. You didn't satisfy that. You didn't address their root problem. More often than not. I've made that mistake countless times, particularly when I thought people were paying me for training and for muscles and for diet. And then I learned, oh wait, 90+% of them don't give a shit about any of that, right? Especially with older clients. What they want, a friend. Oh, you learn that they don't have any family, they don't have any kids who visit them, they're all moved out of state, this person's alone. You learn from the chiropractor that comes in that they get multiple clients who there's no health ailments. They come and they pay for their time and they fabricate, this, I'm feeling this, and then they do the, not autopsy, they do the, the body scan, they do the assessment and realize absolutely nothing is wrong with you. But yes, I understand there's an emotional need, right? What you're missing is the human need of love connection. At this stage of your life, I'm talking about for these clients, are in the absence of having any support, any love, any connection, anyone texting you. Personal trainers would have to do this. Hey, just wanted to follow up to see, or just wanted to check in to make sure that you're, coming in for your training session this afternoon or for tomorrow. We would always have to do that. It would be one of our tasks to, give them a text or an email or a call confirming their appointment for the next day. Does any of that make sense? Are you with me so far? Oftentimes, the problem isn't the problem. That's a quote from Jack Sparrow, and it's up to you in terms of, I'm trying to tie it all back into the law. I'm not trying to go too far astray. Learn to keep people dependent on you. The dependency, it won't even be a dependency at that point. People will want to be a part of your team. They'll want to, you'll magnetize them by your energy, by the amount that you're willing to just selflessly give. Okay. And I put my mistakes with rat life, and this is a huge mistake that I made, being dependent, bottlenecked on others, never again. So in terms of learn to keep people dependent on you, I made the biggest mistake when I was doing Rat Life, the pre-workout supplement company, of having people on my team who would be satisfying roles that I did not know and I couldn't fulfill or produce myself, such as formulating the actual, formulating the actual pre-workout in terms of doing the measuring. It sounds like something that you think anyone could do, but I literally couldn't do it. As in, my brother handmade every single bottle, and so he would do the measuring. It's just when you can call it my forcefulness or my haste, but I could not sit there for hours and hours and hours measuring these ingredients that for Huperzine A, it's like a 1% yield. We had to use so you know how there's milligrams in if you look at the back of your pre-workout label, it was micrograms, as in if you breathed, the weight scale would change. Like, I did not have that kind of patience, and so I could not formulate the bottles, and so that created a bottleneck when he wasn't in the mood to do fulfillment. And so I said, I am never going to put myself in this position again, because orders would be delayed by weeks at a time, and I would have to do all of the not crowd control, was it like public relations, you know, when you are putting out fires, you know, because I would get the customers being like, hey, I put my order in 2 weeks ago or a week ago, you know, is it coming soon? Like, versus the other ones where I would have it fulfilled and shipped same day. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, those are the, when you're running a business, your reputation is everything. So if you never snake anyone, you never undercut them, you never, dude, if an order was delayed and I thought it was lost, dude, I would send them 2 free bottles of pre-workout, and then the person would end up getting the pre-workout that was just, for some reason, the shipment, it was delayed, and so they would have 4 bottles. But it's like, dude, I will take the loss so long as I have satisfied this customer, because all it takes is one person to literally wreck your name, right? And this was a previous law, that your reputation, your name, dude, it's everything. And it, especially in business, especially in sales, as in, if your name is synonymous with being a fucking rat, being a weasel, being a snake oil salesman, that's all you'll be known for. But if your name is good, if your name is gold, Tarek Houck's is character, is integrity, is going above and beyond to make sure that your order is fulfilled, that you get your value, or you get your money back at the very least, then that is what people will know you by. That your name and who you are, dude, they're in alignment, as in your virtues, your everything that you exalt, your character, your integrity, your class, as in you're not here to snake anyone, right? You know this product or service is the best thing for them, so it's your responsibility to insist. If a person is on fire and you have a fire hydrant and fire insurance, but I'm not a salesman, no. It's like, no, let me insist on helping you, on giving you exactly what I know that you need, right? But that was my biggest mistake, and I've never made that sense, especially with these lectures. I said, I'm never going to make the mistake again where I am reliant on another person. And that was actually something, and this is when it ties in with the whole concept of this university, that you only learn things the hard way or the hardest way, or you don't learn the lesson by conceptual hearing, right? The truth can't be heard, it can only be seen. The quote from Greg Plitt was, don't put another person's name as a part of the recipe for your success. And I've made that countless times, where I said, in order for this business to be successful, I need this person to do this. In order for me to be happy, I need this woman to reciprocate romantically. No. So this idea, learn to keep people dependent on you, learn to be very, very independent, in the sense of that quote from Greg Plitt, actually embodying that and enacting that. Do not have anyone as a contingency to your success. Greg Plitt goes on to say, you will be sadly mistaken by the outcome of that equation. And I learned that firsthand. By having my brother on the team who didn't do any communicating, I'm taking full ownership and responsibility. But when you have a person who you're in a financial commitment with who does not communicate, that's how you get to find yourself negative $15,000, right? And with you having the sole responsibility of paying it back. When you are under different impressions, right? When you are reliant on one person to do their role in terms of product fulfillment and it's not getting done, then you're just like, okay, this was my fault. Why? I have the wrong people on my team. Why? I had other people as a part of the recipe for my success. Huge mistake. And no problem, just one not to be repeated. So in your life, how does this apply to you? If you have a vision, if you have a goal, let's synthesize it down to a goal, and another person's fucking name is on that, you again are going to be sadly mistaken by the result of that equation. Make sure you pick every single person's name off of your golden plan. No, you. Because why? What can you control? Your actions, your behavior. What can you not control? Other people. Okay. Their need for you frees you, quote from the book. And I put financially with clients. And it makes sense, right? As in, if they need you for this product or service, it frees you in the sense of financial freedom, because then you're taking their income, right? That they're giving you, that revenue. And I put my stance is to not do that, and to pour it all, to give lavishly, to give your everything. You give them what they want, you give them what they need, right? You give them your time, you give them the words of affirmation, you give them their validation, you listen, you become their therapist. Any person who's done sales or business, they know exactly what I'm talking about. As in, yeah, they bought your stickers or whatever the hell that you're selling, but what they really wanted was someone to wish them a happy birthday, or someone to, just be their friend, someone to text them, good morning, let's get it. Like somebody who was going to hold them accountable. They're not paying for the product or service. There's a deeper underlying need that you are fulfilling. When you can tap into that need, then you'll be giving them what they want, like what they're paying for. But then the way that you retain these relationships for sometimes lifetimes is by getting to the root of what they're actually there for. And so, like I said, oftentimes I've trained male clients, I've trained female clients, I've trained old clients, I've trained young clients, and I've coached the spectrum as well. And I've, faced all the limiting beliefs and all the fears and all the insecurities. Everyone is trying to satisfy a human need. All you have to do is keep, asking why, then you'll get to the heart of it. You don't give a shit about the training. You don't care about losing weight. Oh, you're trying to get over the guy who left you 30 years ago, or what have you. Insert random example here. But when you get to the root of it, to give you some sales advice, then you can press the pain button right there when it's time to renew them, when it's trying to generate referrals, when it's trying to, make additional sales or to upsell them, because then you could bring up that pain threshold. Do you understand? It's pain that moves people. It's emotion that moves people, especially in the financial realm. So it's just like when you remind them of, how their ex, is looking, or how, their ex's new woman is appearing now. This is a made up example, but you understand the point, where you light that fire underneath the person, the quote, energy can't be destroyed, it can only be converted. So you put that much fire and animosity and rage in this person to where they say to the other person, fuck you, watch this. And then that can be leveraged in the sense of sales. Do you understand what I'm saying? But yes, and that can apply for anything. You can extrapolate that you can light the fire underneath your kids to get them to do, the chores that you're wanting them to do, or to do their homework, or to do whatever. It's getting action is from emotion, and if you can make the emotion at a 10, right, you'll elicit the greatest action. The greatest action, the massive action, will elicit the greatest results for that person, to where if they're getting massive results from your service that you're providing, from the need that you're satisfying, why wouldn't they keep you? Why would they do away with you with that much evidence, with that much proof? Does any of that make sense? Okay, but that is my stance, and I even put that to teach them that they can do it without you. And my quote that I would always use is, "You don't need me." That was personal trainer Tarek. Okay, off to a great start. Now I know my hair is a little bit on the shorter end, and I did not shave for this lecture today, but I give you the full groom today. You know what I'm saying? Do you like it? What do you guys think? Leave a comment below. Just kidding. All right. Having the appearance, this one was sickening. Having the appearance of specialized knowledge and skill gives you leeway in your ability to deceive those above you into thinking they cannot do without you. No. Bullshit. And we were trained, and I use that in air quotes because it wasn't actual training, it was snakery, it was deception for working for a rat weasel company. Don't do that. And I put it was called The Perfect Workout. It was the personal training place I worked at. The Perfect Workout bullshit scripts to confuse prospective clients. It was all garbage, as in, oh no, this is our slow motion training technology. That it was all to take them on a loop where they would get confused mid-sales speech to where they would come to the conclusion that there's no way I can do this on my own. I need you, right? Which argument can be made, proves the law, learn to keep people dependent on you, but that doesn't earn self-respect. That doesn't earn alignment with God. Do you know what I'm saying? Doing those manipulations, doing that treachery, think of it this way. And I learned this from Simon Sinek. If you build the foundation of your business, of your organization, of your personal brand, your name, where you have to do these little schemes, these little manipulations, these little tricks, right? Then that's all you will be. That's all you will have to do. But if you just are straight up with a person, man, and if you can actually bridge the gap of trust that you have their best interests at heart, and you give them above and beyond and everything that you need. In fact, it was a story from, I'm gonna butcher the book. It could have been The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know, where it was talking about the foundation of like Macy's or J.C. Penney. It was one of those big, superstores where the best customer service, it could have also been How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But one of the customers was upset, or they were looking for an item, and then it wasn't in their store. The guy referred her to the competition, right? Because that is what he stood by. That's what he aligned with. And the girl was so confused. She was like, wait a second, why? I'm a paying customer and you're willing to, not trick me, not scheme me, not manipulate me, not do any of these ruses, right? And you actually give a shit about what I want, what's in my best interest, to the point that you're willing to defer me to another competitor. What do you think was the outcome? I don't remember the book, but the outcome was she came back, was a loyal patron for years to come, spending in sales, it's called the lifetime sales of a customer. There's an acronym for it. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that she otherwise would never have. Do you understand? I hope you do. The point is, I'm trying to teach the young men and young women watching these lectures, to do what aligns with your identity, right? Do you align with character? Do you align with integrity? Do you align with hearts, with doing for others what's in their best interests, right? Those are the core fundamental ideologies of this university, of my name, of Tarek Hawks. It's predicated on that. We are not snakes, we are not rats, we are not weasels, right? Fuck those people. We're here for truth. We're here to give, period. What can we give? What can we share, dude? This whole university is about what? Growth, about humility, about healing, about sharing, right? So we can all what? Improve. You don't do that by being a snake, weasel, rat. You got it? So don't do that. Don't try to deceive other people. Don't try to trick them. Don't try to, use fancy language. There are other professions who do this all the fucking time. And it's at the very end of the lecture. I have the list. So, and that's what I put. They would use needless physiology vernacular, and I put weasel, rat, personal trainers. I put effective, yes. The man you want to be, fuck no. Nice. Okay. And this was actually a really cool quote. That's why I included it. He who has slaked his thirst immediately turns his back on the well, no longer needing it. When dependence disappears, so does civility and decency, and then respect. And that was from Balthazar Gracian. And I thought that was such a cool quote. And I appreciate that imagery. Yet that, when the beast goes to the well and has slaked his thirst, obviously you don't need any more water. And because it's needless, it's therefore thereby useless, to where you leave, like, I don't want to get raunchy, but like a used hoe. Take my money. No, I've never paid for such things. But it says that. So does, dependence disappears. You don't need them anymore. You've, you know what it is. But the dependency disappeared. You don't, you're good. You've taken care of what needed to be taken care of. So does civility and decency, and then respect. It's the end of the lecture. No, I'm just kidding. But I appreciate that imagery, right? And if you tie it into Meditations from Marcus Aurelius, there's a line in it where he says, when you've deemed by your value system someone to be useless, to be redundant, then you become indifferent to them. As in, and I've experienced this with people to where they, not like they become an inanimate object, but they just become useless in the sense of your goal, your ambition, where you're headed, to where, you just sort of tune them out. They're just sort of, a distraction at that point, because they're not offering any, based on your value system, your belief system, they're not offering any additive, any positive, any benefit. So you become indifferent to them. They become useless. They become valueless under that lens, because you've slaked your thirst, right? They've served their purpose. You don't give a fuck about them. And I can absolutely attest to experiencing that in the workplace with the people who have the made up titles, right? When they have concluded based on their belief system that you are of no value, you are of no use, then they'll treat you like less than the help. My boss, she used a Freudian slip a few months ago where they were talking about I think I shared this in a different video, but they were talking about hiring a new administrative assistant, and she was like, I don't understand, we could just buy one, hire one. That Freudian slip is exactly how that, I was going to say leader, but that would be a gross overstatement to classify this individual, and they're certainly undeserving of that title. That's exactly how they view people. They view them the equivalent of slaves, which is the equivalent of property, as in someone you could just buy, right? It has nothing, because of how fucking useless these goons who have these made up titles. It's the delusion of the world that they live in. But that's the reality within the rat life. These people, based on the use that they deem of you, of how useful you are to them, of what they can benefit from you, right? Not of your spiritual value, not of your intellectual value outside of this rat life title, this rat life square, right? This box that they've put you in. Any use or value that you have as a father, mother, they don't give a shit about any of you, of who you are, of your soul. That none of that means shit to them. They all they care about is of what use and value you are to fucking them, right? Otherwise, they don't give a shit about you. That's the reality of the rat life, right? That's the exact quote exemplified right there in that snapshot. He who has slaked his thirst. So when you have proven yourself useless to this snake, weasel, rat, they immediately turn their back on you, right? No longer needing you. When dependence disappears, so does civility and decency, and then respect. They don't respect you. And it's not the respect disappears, you just see their true colors. And that's a fact. Next. And the master above you will in essence be your slave if you enact the law of learn to keep people dependent on you. And the master above you will in essence be your slave, for he will depend on you. And that's in terms of the client to the personal trainer, and in terms of, whoever. And then there's such a good quote. Michelangelo, he knew, could find another patron, but he could never find another Michelangelo. And I thought that was super, super cool. The idea of knowing your value, knowing that you are irreplaceable. But these motherfuckers, bro, dime the dozen, right? And then this is the thing that I wanted to really bring home. And I put church, lawyer, accountant, and the idea of learn to keep people dependent on you. So, if you think this doesn't apply to you, if you think people haven't enacted this law, this manipulation of power throughout time, throughout history, I have 3 examples. The first one is the church. The church. Back in the day, I don't know if you know this, the Bible was not in English. It was in Latin. And who had access to that? Who knew Latin, right? The church. The church. So in order for you, and this is all an access thing, this is why I love that I'm doing this university. In order for you to have access to the kingdom of God, you had to go through this third party. You had to go through the church and their priests and their sermons, because they translated the text that you were dependent on them to in order to reap that knowledge, right? Do you see how that was set up? Where you, the ignorant slave, oh, poor slave, you don't know Latin? Okay, that's weird. We do. So you're dependent to go in there. Where now you go into their congregation, now you go into their donation box. It's a business, buddy. It's a business. You fill their coffers. You've become dependent on them for what? Information. For information. Because you wouldn't need them, right? If you were what? Independent. If you what? Knew Latin. Then why would you need the church? Why would you need to go into that congregation? Oh, right, you wouldn't. Okay? So they created a dependency. I stuttered a little bit. They created a dependency for you, from you, to what? Control. To control you, to have power over you. Do you see the law in real time? Okay. That is the price of ignorance. Back in time, I understand the Bible is translated now, but back in time, the price for your ignorance was what? Your spirituality, was you being saved, if that's what you believe, was the key for you to get to heaven. All of that was forfeit from ignorance, from a created dependency, from lack of information, from naivety. Do you understand? Okay. Next, lawyer. Why do you need a lawyer? Because you don't know the law. Very simple example. But again, if you knew the law, if you knew the law code, if you knew all of that, right? What need would you have for them? Oh, right, you wouldn't. Okay. You would be able to defend yourself in court. You would be one of those orators from the ancient world of antiquity, like Cicero or Cato, or a great philosopher, who could go in and defend their own hide. You didn't need another person fighting your battles for you or interpreting the law for you. Why? Because you had that knowledge, but you don't. So you're what? Dependent on this person. You do not have the power. Do you see? Number 2. Number 3. Why do you hire an accountant? Do you see the pattern? Because you don't know accounting, right? You don't know the tax code. This goes on and on and on. So that's it. Brief. Law number 11, learn to keep people dependent on you. But I want you to take away from this law this. If you just focus on what you can give, you will never want, you will never need to worry about the get. When you sow one, don't view the relationships as transactional. Don't view it as that. Don't view it as, oh, you're useless now because you don't provide this from me, right? Say it's a woman. You don't reciprocate, and because I made this mistake when I was younger. Oh, you're only of use to me so long as you satisfy the box that I put you in, which is romantic reciprocity. If you're not giving that to me, gone, useless, next, right? If it was a customer and I was trying to get a sale from them, okay, you're useless to me because you're not willing to buy my product. Next. Don't view relationships as transactional. The lesson that I learned was, wait. Let me give them everything that I can. Let me give them love. Let me give them, my product or service. If I thought, it was to a benefit of them, let me give them motivation. Let me give them anything that I possibly can of anything that I learned that they were wanting or needing, okay? Understanding that if I give to them by natural law, it will come back to me. Just because, and this is where my perspective shift when it came to dating, when it came to sales, when it came to just relationships in general. If I give to you, I know it's coming back to me. I don't give a shit that it comes back to me from you. Do you understand? When you have that mindset switch, you'll stop viewing relationships as transactional. You'll stop viewing them as, this person, I've slaked my thirst. They are useless to me. Scrap them next. You'll be like, no. A single person, dude, they could, number one, it's that idea of you aligning with abundance, of you just focusing on what you can give and making that a part of your identity and a part of your actions and your character, your behavior, right? That's first and foremost. But understanding that this person, though they're not a sale, they could be a testimonial, they could be a referral, they could be your fucking dentist, they could be your, your photographer at your wedding. They can provide so much fucking value to you that if you just let your ego subside, you would be fascinated, because I've had this happen so many times. I'll give you a humbling example. I met this chick, this was many years ago. It was like on a dating app, and we went out on one date, right, together, and then never went on a date afterwards, and then I would end up being her personal trainer. Which is hilarious when you think about it. It's just like, ooh, yeah, I don't want to date you, but you do seem to know a lot about your training. Here, like, what if I give you money? It was fun. But do you understand? And what's interesting is that this very same person is partially responsible for me getting this apartment, because she knew a guy who I would end up living with for a time, and that was my reference to where this apartment complex called them in order for me to be approved for renting out this apartment. And so life, it comes full circle like that. Like, had I not, dated this person and then, didn't view it transactionally, and then had became her trainer, and then because she knew this guy, and then I only knew him from the, connection to her, and that was, benefit to me in terms of I had a place to live when I needed one, which also gave me an even better place to live. Like, you cannot see the stars in foresight, my good friends. So I would challenge you to separate yourself, to remove the ego, to just focus on what you can give, to stop viewing the lens so selfishly. And that's the problem, the biggest problem people make, especially when it comes to sales, when it comes to relationships, is not living in a state of abundance. As in, you holding on to information, to gold, to your value. You underestimating the power of free. The power of free. In 2019, I think it was 2019, or it was 2018, I said, dude, I'm going to do something different. I think it was 2018. I said, I want to help 10 people transform their life. I don't need any money. I'll just do it for free. And I posted that on my social media. I was stuttering. I said, I'll help 10 people transform their lives for free. I'm transforming 10 lives this year in 2018, right? That's my goal. When I put that out there, I had one person reach out to me and take me up on my offer, and I gave her a free personal training session. She would end up being a client for the next 5 years. She would fund many Euro trips. She would help me through many of my female problems, relational problems. It was a gift. It was a gift. From what? From focusing on what I can give first. And then you never have to worry about what you can get. And that is true for anything. Don't underestimate the value of what you can give. You can take it to testimonials. If you're starting a business, testimonials are invaluable. So if you just focus on what you can give and the results that you can get people for free, the testimonials that you can get from all that you have given these people, you can then charge people for your product or your service later on for 10 times, 100 times, 100 times zero, the amount that you were charging these people, or you help them for very, 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 very little, right? It'll pay dividends in the long run. So what did we learn from today's law in terms of keep people dependent on you? No. Focus on what you can give. Don't concern yourself with the get, right? Focus on the value that you can give people, and then dig deeper. What do they actually want, right? Or what do they actually need? Not what they say that they want. So I hope that helps. Food for thought. I told you my chakras, and the cards and the synchronicities, they're all aligning. So it's a good day. We are law number 11 complete. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Number 12, the next video will be use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. And with that, today's a big day. It's election day. You know who I voted for, baby. Freedom. Freedom for America. We're all going to make it. Ratliff University, law number 11. We're going to do 12, and then we're on book number 22 coming soon. We are all going to make it. What is rat life? Starts with belief and courage to pursue. We're all going to make it till next time. Bye.